A poor farmer bought an Apache girl for $1, but her secret stunned the whole town. The sun had not yet fully risen, but the small town of Dusthaven was already awake. Dust swirled lazily along the dirt roads, and the faint hum of early settlers going about their work filled the air. On the edge of town, where the soil was thin and crops struggled to grow, a poor farmer named Eli Turner stood by his fence, staring at the half-empty fields. His hands, calloused and tired, rested on the wooden post, and he sighed deeply. Eli had always believed hard work could solve most problems, yet this season had been harsh. The rains were late, and when they did come, they brought storms that flattened his crops. Food was low, and his savings were nearly gone. Every coin he had counted carefully, hoping to stretch it to last until the next harvest, but even that was uncertain. Today, however, was market day, and Eli knew he had to try something. Even if he had no money to spend, maybe he could trade for seeds, tools, or advice. The market was alive with noise and color. Stalls of merchants displayed brightly colored fabrics, fresh vegetables, and strange trinkets from other colonies. There were humans from nearby settlements, traders from distant planets, and a few odd-looking aliens who bartered in low, growling voices. Eli wandered among the stalls, his eyes scanning for anything he might need. Seeds were expensive. Tools were pricier. Nothing seemed within his reach. Then, at the far end of the market, he saw a small crowd gathered around a man shouting loudly. "Best bargain in the colony, only 1 credit for a fine companion, human girl, strong and able, don't miss this deal." Eli frowned. He didn't usually pay attention to such things, but curiosity tugged at him. He pushed through the crowd, stepping over discarded scraps of cloth and dirt until he saw her. She was sitting quietly, her dark hair falling straight over her shoulders. Her skin was a rich brown, and her eyes, sharp and watchful, scanned the crowd without fear. She did not look frightened, only calm, almost too calm for someone in such a situation. Around her, the traders were waving their hands, shouting promises she could not possibly keep. "Step right up, 1 credit, a deal for the wise and bold, only 1 credit for this fine girl," the man repeated. The crowd laughed. Some whispered about her past, inventing stories about why she was being sold. Most shook their heads, thinking the price was ridiculous, too low to be true. Eli felt a strange pull. Something about the girl made him uneasy and curious at the same time. He didn't need a companion. He had barely enough food for himself and the farm. But he couldn't shake the thought that leaving her there felt wrong. He stepped forward. "How much did you say?" he asked. 1 credit, the man bellowed. "That's right, 1 credit, she's healthy, smart, and able to work. Only 1 credit, first come, first served." Eli reached into his pocket. 1 credit. It was everything he had left, and it wasn't enough to buy seeds for a full season. His stomach churned. He could spend it here, or he could try to survive a little longer with his failing crops. The girl's eyes met his. For a moment, Eli thought he saw a flicker of something strange, a metallic gleam in her pupils. He blinked and it was gone. He shook his head. He must be imagining things. Without another thought, he handed the coin to the man. "I'll take her," he said. The crowd gasped. A few laughed. "What a fool," someone muttered. "He spent his last credit on a slave girl." The man smiled, handed the girl to Eli, and scurried off to collect more coins from the others. Eli caught her arm gently. She didn't resist, but her eyes were still wary. Hi," Eli said awkwardly. "I'm Eli, I guess you're coming with me." The girl nodded once. "I am Naya," she said quietly, her voice calm and steady. "Thank you." Eli blinked. Her tone, it was polite, but there was something unusual about it, something precise, almost like she was calculating every word. He decided not to dwell on it. The walk back to his farm was silent. Naya didn't speak much, but she observed everything: the wind, the sky, the way the dirt clung to Eli's boots. When they reached the fields, she knelt down and touched the soil, letting her fingers sink into it. "Poor soil," she said simply. "Needs water and nutrients." Can be fixed with compost and irrigation adjustment. Eli stared. Yeah, I've tried. It's difficult. Naya nodded. I can help, she said matter-of-factly. Show me what you've done. And so she began. For hours, she worked alongside Eli, not just following his instructions but offering suggestions. She noticed where the irrigation was uneven, how the seeds were planted too close together, and even spotted weak spots in the fencing that Eli had overlooked. By the time the sun dipped behind the hills, the farm looked slightly better. Eli's hands ached, and so did Naya's, though she did not complain. She simply observed the changes and nodded approvingly. You're good at this, Eli said finally, wiping sweat from his brow. Naya smiled faintly. I have been trained. Observation and learning come naturally to me. Eli frowned. That sounded strange. Most people he knew did train themselves in farming. They learned by trial and error, by asking neighbors or by watching the land. Not by being trained. Still, he didn't question her further. He had spent a lifetime learning that some things were better left unsaid. That night, they ate a simple meal of beans and stale bread. Naya didn't complain, didn't ask for luxuries. She simply ate, keeping pace with Eli. Afterwards, she sat quietly by the fire, staring at the flames, as if thinking deeply about everything she had seen. Eli tried to sleep, but his mind wandered. He couldn't help but think about the metallic gleam he had seen in her eyes earlier. What kind of human could have eyes that glimmered like that? He shook his head and forced himself to rest. He needed strength for the next day. The next morning, Naya woke before dawn. She moved silently around the farm, checking the fences, the water channels, and even the animals. Eli watched her in awe. He had never seen anyone so focused, so capable. Eli, she said softly, if we work together, this farm can be productive again. You will need patience, tools, and proper planning, but it is possible. Eli nodded slowly. I hope you're right. But deep down, he realized something. This girl, Naya, was no ordinary person. Something about her was beyond human, beyond what he understood. And yet, for the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, he could survive the harshness of this world and build a life that mattered. Little did he know, the quiet girl he had bought for one credit held a secret so extraordinary that it would soon shake the foundations of the entire town of Dusthaven. For now, though, all that mattered was the small farm on the edge of town, the soft glow of the rising sun, and the sense that the future, no matter how uncertain, might just be brighter than yesterday. And so began Eli's strange and unexpected journey, a journey that would test the limits of human ingenuity, courage, and trust. A journey that would prove that sometimes the smallest decisions, like spending a single coin, could change the fate of not just one person, but an entire community. The morning sun rose over Dusthaven, casting long shadows across the dusty streets and wooden fences. Eli Turner stepped outside his small farmhouse, rubbing his eyes. The previous day had been exhausting, yet there was something in the air that made him feel hopeful. He looked around at the farm, the soil still dry and cracked, but the fences repaired, the animals calmer, and Naya moving quietly among the rows of seeds he had planted. "Good morning," Eli said, trying to sound cheerful, though he felt the weight of worry pressing down on him. Naya nodded, her dark eyes focused on the field. "Morning, Eli. The weather today is favorable for planting. Rain will come in 3 days if you follow the patterns I observed." Eli blinked. "Rain in 3 days? How can you know that?" Naya didn't answer immediately. She squatted by the soil, touching it with her fingers and closing her eyes for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was calm, precise. "Cloud patterns, wind currents, soil moisture. I can predict with a high probability. You need not worry." Eli felt a shiver run down his spine. It wasn't normal for someone to be this accurate. Farmers often guessed or relied on old stories about the weather, but Naya's prediction was like a scientific calculation. He swallowed hard. "Well, That would be useful. The day passed quietly, yet strange things kept happening. Naya moved with a calm efficiency, planting seeds with care, checking irrigation channels, and even coaxing stubborn animals into their pens. She seemed to understand the land in ways Eli had never imagined. Chickens that refused to enter their coops followed her quietly. A stubborn mule that had refused to plow a corner of the field went along with her without protest. Word of her abilities started to reach the town. By mid-morning, a few neighbors had stopped by, curious about the girl Eli had bought for one credit. "Eli," called Mrs. Harper, a kindly widow from down the road, "is that your new helper?" "Yes," Eli replied cautiously. "Her name is Naya, Mrs." Harper watched silently as Naya knelt by a patch of soil, inspecting it with her fingers. She knows what she's doing," Mrs. Harper whispered. "I've been farming for 20 years, and I've never seen anyone handle animals or crops like that." Eli shrugged, though he felt a mix of pride and unease. "She helps, that's all I know." Naya looked up briefly and nodded politely. "It is not difficult with observation and focus," she said, then returned to her work. By midday, more townsfolk had gathered near Eli's farm. Whispers spread like wildfire. Some were amazed at Naya's skills, others were skeptical. "She's almost too perfect," one man muttered. "How can one person know so much about farming?" "She's human," another replied. "Isn't she?" Eli clenched his fists. He didn't like people staring or questioning Naya. She was his responsibility now, and he had no intention of letting gossip harm her. "She's just helping," he said firmly. "Nothing more." But even as he said it, Eli felt uneasy. There was something unusual about Naya. Sometimes when she looked at him, her eyes flickered in a way that made him feel like she was seeing more than she should. It wasn't just her knowledge or skills. There was something deeper, something strange. The afternoon brought another surprise. A sudden gust of wind blew over part of the irrigation system, spilling water across the field and threatening the young seedlings. Eli ran to fix it, but before he could do anything, Naya moved quickly, touching the pipes and valves. "Stand back," she said calmly. Within moments, the system was repaired, not just patched but optimized. Water flowed evenly to all plants, and the seedlings seemed to perk up immediately. Eli stared in disbelief. "How did you?" "I observed the flow and adjusted the valves," Naya explained simply. "It is logical." It wasn't just farming. Naya's abilities went further. She could read machines and repair them almost instinctively. She could tame animals by understanding their behavior. And she seemed to sense small details about people and the environment that no human could notice. As the day ended, Eli led Naya back to the farmhouse. "You're amazing," he said quietly. "I've never met anyone like you." Naya tilted her head slightly. "I am here to help," she replied. "That is enough." But Eli could sense there was more to her. He didn't understand it, and he didn't know how to ask without sounding rude. So he stayed silent. That night, a strange noise woke Eli. He went outside and saw Naya standing by the fence, staring into the darkness. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "I am listening," she said. "I hear footsteps and a low hum in the distance. They are not from this town." Eli frowned. "Footsteps, who would?" Naya didn't answer. She simply scanned the area, her eyes glimmering faintly in the moonlight. Eli's heart pounded. She was different. There was no other word for it. The next morning, Eli woke to find Naya already tending the animals. The chickens clucked quietly, the goats moved calmly, and even the stubborn mule seemed unusually obedient. "Good morning," Eli said. Naya nodded. "Morning. The soil is ready for planting corn. I observed the previous crop patterns and soil quality. I suggest using a staggered planting method for better yield." Eli blinked. "You really know all this?" "Yes, observation and learning are enough," she said simply. Over the next few days, the town began to notice the changes. Eli's farm, once failing, began to thrive. Crops grew faster, irrigation improved, and animals were healthier. Rumors spread. "Did you see Eli's farm?" asked one neighbor. "That girl, she's like a miracle worker. Miracle or something else." Another whispered, casting a wary glance at Nea. Eli didn't care about gossip. He only cared about keeping Nea safe and learning from her. But he began to notice that some townsfolk were staring at her too closely, as if expecting her to do something dangerous. One afternoon, the mayor of Dusthaven himself arrived, flanked by two guards. He eyed Nea suspiciously. "Eli Turner," he said, his tone sharp. "I hear you've acquired a companion, a young girl, is it?" Eli nodded. "Her name is Nea. She's helping me on the farm." The mayor's eyes narrowed. "Helping, yes, but she is different. We have rules about unusual individuals in town. Tell me, what is her background?" Eli felt his stomach tighten. "She was being sold in the market, that's all I know." The mayor stepped closer to Nea. She stood silently, calm and unafraid. He frowned. "Her eyes, they are strange, and she speaks with unusual precision. Eli, be careful. Not everyone in Dusthaven is welcoming to those who are unlike us." Eli bristled. "She is my responsibility. You will not harm her." The mayor straightened and left, muttering about rules and unusual individuals. But the visit left Eli unsettled. He realized that Nea's abilities were not just impressive, they were dangerous in the eyes of others who did not understand her. Days passed, and Nea continued to show her strange skills. One evening, she noticed a problem with the water reservoir. Eli had tried to fix it with basic tools, but the reservoir was leaking in multiple places. Nea approached the machinery, her hands moving with unnerving precision, adjusting valves, patching leaks, and monitoring pressure. Within an hour, the reservoir was not just repaired, it was more efficient than before, holding more water and delivering it evenly to the fields. Eli stared at her in awe. How do you do that?" "I analyze the system, identify weak points, and make logical corrections," she said. Her eyes flickered again, faintly metallic. Eli's heart skipped a beat. He was beginning to understand. Nea was not ordinary. She was human, but something more, something extraordinary. That night, Eli sat by the fire, thinking about the past few days. His farm was thriving, his animals were healthy, and Nea had proven herself invaluable. Yet he could not shake the feeling that her secret was bigger than he realized. For the first time in his life, Eli felt both hope and fear. Hope that his farm and town could survive, and fear that the truth about Nea could bring danger to them all. And Nea. She sat quietly by his side, her eyes reflecting the firelight, knowing that her true purpose had yet to be revealed, but sensing that this town, these humans, might just be remarkable enough to understand her one day. The morning sun rose slowly over Dusthaven, bathing the small town in warm golden light. Eli Turner stepped outside his farmhouse, breathing in the crisp air. His farm was beginning to flourish under Nea's care. Rows of young corn swayed gently in the breeze, and the irrigation system worked perfectly, feeding every plant evenly. Even the animals seemed happier. Yet Eli couldn't shake a lingering feeling of unease. For days, Nea's strange abilities had amazed him and the townsfolk alike. She seemed to know the right amount of water each plant needed, the best way to calm a frightened animal, and even how to repair complex machines without prior instruction. People whispered about her in the streets. Some called her a miracle. Others looked at her with suspicion. And Eli, though grateful, couldn't ignore the metallic flicker he sometimes saw in her eyes, an unnatural glow that appeared when she focused deeply. That day, Eli's unease would turn into revelation. It began when a sudden storm rolled over the hills surrounding Dusthaven. Dark clouds gathered quickly and a fierce wind began to howl. Eli ran to secure the animals, fearing the worst. Nea followed silently, her face calm and determined. "The storm is stronger than usual," she said, her voice steady. "If we do not act, the irrigation channels will overflow and the crops will be ruined." Eli hesitated. "Can you fix it?" In time, Naya nodded. Yes, stand back. She ran toward the channels, moving with incredible speed and precision. Eli watched in awe as she adjusted valves, cleared debris, and reinforced weak sections. Water flowed evenly and the seedlings were protected. But as the storm intensified, something unexpected happened. A large section of the main water pipe collapsed, trapping Eli under a falling wooden beam. Pain shot through his leg as he struggled, but the weight pinned him down. Eli, Naya called, rushing to him. He tried to speak, but his breath caught. The storm's wind drowned out his words. Naya's hands moved over the beam, her fingers glowing faintly. With a sudden, almost impossible strength, she lifted the heavy wood, freeing him. Eli stared at her, disbelief and gratitude mixing on his face. How did you do that?" he asked, breathless. Naya looked at him calmly, her eyes flickering with that same metallic gleam. "I analyzed the structure and applied force at precise points. Logic dictates success." Eli's mind raced. Logic, precision. Strength beyond human limits. Something was not right. That night, Eli sat by the fire, nursing a bruised leg. Naya sat across from him, quiet as ever. He finally asked the question that had been growing inside him for days. "Naya, what are you?" Naya's eyes met his, calm and steady. She spoke slowly, as if choosing her words carefully. "I am not just human. I am a human-android hybrid, part of a project designed to preserve knowledge, survive harsh environments, and study human adaptability." Eli's jaw dropped. "Hybrid android? You mean you're not fully human?" "I am human in appearance," Naya said, "but I have enhancements. My body can heal faster, analyze situations quickly, and perform tasks beyond ordinary human capability. My purpose is to observe and assist humans in challenging environments like this colony." Eli's mind struggled to process the revelation. He had suspected she was unusual, but this was beyond anything he could imagine. "So all the things you've done, the irrigation, the animals, your eyes, they are part of me," Naya said simply. "I am built to observe, learn, and help. I was designed to ensure human survival and progress." Eli leaned back, overwhelmed. He felt a mix of awe, fear, and something else, pride. I can't believe it. All this time, you've been helping us and we didn't even know," Naya nodded. "I was not meant to reveal my nature unless necessary. Observation and integration are more effective when humans act naturally." Eli remained silent, trying to absorb the enormity of her words. He had purchased Naya for a single credit, thinking he was saving a girl from misfortune. Now he realized that she was more valuable than anyone could imagine, not as property, but as a living marvel of human ingenuity and technology. The revelation could have frightened the townsfolk, but the next day brought a new test. Word of Naya's abilities spread beyond Dusthaven. Strange figures arrived on the outskirts of town, agents from a distant research organization who had been tracking the hybrid project. They sought to reclaim Naya and bring her back to a laboratory. The townsfolk noticed the newcomers and became anxious. Eli knew that if they learned Naya's secret, they might try to take her by force. He approached Naya, worry in his eyes. "They're coming for you," he said quietly. "We need to protect you and the town." Naya's expression remained calm. "I expected this. Observation indicates they are not hostile yet, but their intent is clear. We must prepare." Over the next hours, Eli and Naya worked together to secure the farm. Naya taught Eli how to reinforce the fences, redirect water, and create small traps to warn them of intruders. Her intelligence and calm under pressure impressed the townsfolk, who began to help, inspired by her leadership and Eli's courage. When the agents arrived, they were met with an unexpected resistance. Naya had coordinated the townsfolk, using simple but clever strategies. Gates were barricaded, animals were positioned to make noise if anyone approached, and the farm became a fortress of human ingenuity. The agents were shocked. They expected an easy recovery of their target, but instead, they found themselves outsmarted by a group of ordinary humans working with an extraordinary girl. Nea's presence and guidance turned fear into strength, and Dusthaven citizens realized something profound. Human creativity, courage, and teamwork could overcome advanced technology. The standoff ended without violence. The agents, impressed by the human resistance and Nea's abilities, retreated to report back. Nea had not revealed her full power, but it was enough to protect herself and the town. Afterward, the townsfolk gathered around Eli and Nea, curiosity and admiration mingling in their eyes. They no longer saw Nea as strange or frightening. She was a partner, a protector, and a symbol of what humans could achieve with ingenuity and courage. Eli placed a hand on Nea's shoulder. "You've done more than save my farm," he said quietly. "You've shown everyone here what humans can do when they work together." Nea looked at him, a small smile on her lips. "You have potential," she said simply. "Humans have always adapted, survived, and thrived. I am here to observe that and help when necessary." That night, as Eli watched Nea stand silently by the window, he realized something important. Her secret was no longer just hers. It had become a part of the town, a shared story of survival, resilience, and hope. Dusthaven had changed. What had started as a small, struggling town with a poor farmer and a mysterious girl had become a community united by trust, courage, and the realization that even the most ordinary humans could achieve extraordinary things. And Nea, she remained calm, silent, and observant. But Eli knew that her mission was far from over. The storm had passed, but challenges awaited. Other dangers would come, and secrets beyond her own might surface. For now, though, the town rested under a sky full of stars, the crops safe, the animals calm, and a sense of hope stronger than it had ever been. Eli sat by the fire, thinking about the strange twist of fate that had brought Nea into his life. He had purchased her for a single credit, but she had given the town something far more valuable: knowledge, protection, and the spark of inspiration that would guide them through the challenges of the future. And for Eli, one thing was clear. He would stand by Nea, not because she was a marvel, but because she was a partner, a friend, and a reminder of what humans could achieve when they dared to believe in the impossible. The morning sun rose over Dusthaven, painting the small town in soft gold. Eli Turner stood at the edge of his fields, watching Nea move among the crops with her usual quiet focus. For days, life had seemed calm, even hopeful. The farm was thriving, the animals were healthy, and the townsfolk had begun to accept Nea not just as a helper, but as a guide. Yet Eli could not ignore the nagging feeling of unease. The visitors from the distant research organization had returned to their base, but he knew they would not give up easily. Nea's abilities were too extraordinary, too valuable. It was only a matter of time before others tried to take her away. As he was lost in thought, Nea approached him. Her eyes flickered faintly in the sunlight, a reminder of her unusual nature. "Eli," she said softly, "we may face threats soon. Observation of distant signals indicates increased activity near our region. Outsiders may attempt to capture me for study." Eli frowned. "How much time do we have?" "Unknown, but preparation is necessary," Nea replied. Her tone was calm yet firm. "We must protect the town and the farm." Eli nodded, determination settling in his chest. He would not let anyone harm Nea or the people who had begun to trust her. Together, they began to plan. The first step was fortifying the farm. Nea instructed Eli on building hidden warning systems using simple materials. Bamboo sticks tied with strings created noise traps, alerting them to intruders. They dug small channels to redirect water from the irrigation system, ensuring the fields could act as both resource and defense. Nea's instructions were precise, and Eli followed them carefully, learning quickly from her guidance. The townsfolk noticed the changes and grew curious. At first, some were wary. "Why is Eli spending so much effort on traps and strange machines?" asked Mrs. Harper, peering over the fence. Eli smiled reassuringly. "It's for the farm and for our safety," Naya added. "Preparation ensures survival. Dusthaven will be safer if we work together." Slowly, the town began to help. Farmers offered tools, builders reinforced fences, and even children helped set up warning systems. The sense of shared purpose brought a new energy to Dusthaven. Naya's calm presence inspired confidence, and Eli's courage encouraged participation. Together, they transformed the small, struggling town into a community ready to face whatever came their way. Days passed, and the preparations continued. Naya demonstrated more of her abilities. She could detect weak points in structures almost instinctively, repair machines in moments, and even predict weather changes with astonishing accuracy. She trained the townsfolk, teaching them how to observe carefully and act efficiently. "See how the water flows here?" she asked one morning. "If we adjust this channel slightly, the crops will receive more even moisture. Small changes create big results." The townsfolk followed her guidance, amazed at the improvements. Eli watched with pride, realizing that Naya was not just protecting the farm. She was teaching humans to think, plan, and act with intelligence and foresight. But their peace was shattered one evening. A cloud of dust appeared on the horizon, growing larger with each passing minute. Figures emerged, strangers in dark uniforms, moving with purpose and intent. Eli's heart pounded. "They're here," he whispered to Naya. Naya's eyes narrowed. "Prepare yourself." Observation indicates they are armed and determined, but fear is unnecessary. Logic and strategy will guide us. Eli ran through the farm, alerting the townsfolk. "Strangers are coming. We need everyone ready." Panic rippled through the town, but Naya's calm presence helped steady the fear. She organized the people efficiently, assigning roles for defense and observation. The children were kept safely indoors, while the adults manned barricades and prepared makeshift defenses. As the strangers approached, Naya moved like a shadow through the fields. Her actions were precise, her movements almost inhuman. She positioned warning traps, redirected animals to create distractions, and even used the irrigation channels to her advantage, creating small floods that slowed the intruders. The first confrontation came at the edge of the fields. A group of strangers tried to move through the crops, but Naya's clever traps caught them off guard. Noise from the strings and animals startled them, and the redirected water forced them to retreat temporarily. Eli watched in awe. The farm he had once feared would fail had become a fortress of human ingenuity, guided by Naya's extraordinary abilities. The strangers regrouped and tried again, this time using more direct force. Naya anticipated their movements, guiding the townsfolk to block paths, create diversions, and protect themselves. Each move was calculated, precise, and effective. The townsfolk began to see her not as strange or frightening, but as a leader, a protector, and a teacher. Hours passed, and the intruders were forced to retreat. They had underestimated Dusthaven, the determination of humans, and the remarkable abilities of Naya. The town had survived, stronger than before, and the strangers left with a warning: they would return. Eli walked among the townsfolk, pride swelling in his chest. "You all did amazing," he said. "We protected our home." Mrs. Harper smiled. "It was Naya who guided us. Without her, we wouldn't have stood a chance." Naya nodded quietly. "You all participated. Courage and cooperation are human strengths. I only guided, not acted alone." The evening brought a moment of quiet reflection. Eli sat by the fire watching Naya. "You're more than I ever imagined," he said. "All this, your skills, your calm, it's incredible." Naya looked at him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "My abilities are designed to protect and assist, but humans possess creativity, courage, and adaptability. Those are qualities even I cannot replicate fully." Eli smiled, realizing the truth in her words. Nea might have abilities beyond human limits, but it was the people of Dusthaven, their teamwork, their courage, their determination, that had made the difference. As night fell, a quiet peace settled over the town. The farm, once struggling, now stood as a symbol of resilience. The townsfolk had faced a threat and emerged stronger, guided by a mysterious girl whose secret had changed everything. Yet Eli knew the danger was far from over. The strangers would return, and perhaps with greater force. But for the first time, he felt a sense of confidence. With Nea by his side and the town united, they could face whatever came next. And Nea, she remained calm, silent, and observant, knowing that her mission was not just to survive, but to teach humans the power of strategy, intelligence, and cooperation. Dusthaven had been tested, and it had passed. The farm thrived, the town stood together, and the bond between humans and the extraordinary girl had grown stronger than ever. Eli knew that whatever threats came, they would face them as a team. And in that knowledge, he found hope, not just for his farm, but for the future of the entire town. The night was quiet, but the stars above Dusthaven shone brightly, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light and courage could guide the way. And so, with Nea by his side, Eli prepared for the days ahead, knowing that the greatest challenges were yet to come, and that humans, when united and guided by ingenuity, could achieve the impossible. The dawn in Dusthaven was soft and quiet. A cool breeze swept over the small town, carrying with it the smell of fresh soil and blooming crops. For the first time in weeks, Eli Turner allowed himself a moment of calm. The farm thrived under Nea's guidance. The townsfolk had grown stronger and more confident, and the town itself was no longer a place of struggle but a community of resilience. Eli stood at the edge of his fields, watching the sun cast long shadows over the rows of corn and vegetables. Nea moved among the plants, inspecting each with care and precision. She was calm as ever, her metallic-eyed flicker now seeming less mysterious to Eli and more like a part of her quiet brilliance. "Everything looks good," Eli said, smiling. "The crops, the animals, even the fences are holding well." Nea paused and looked up at him. "You have improved too, Eli. Your planning and observation have grown. Humans are capable of great adaptability, but you have learned quickly." Eli laughed softly. "I've had a good teacher." The memory of the previous threats, strangers, storms, and the unknown still lingered. But now he felt ready, not just for the farm, but for whatever challenges the future might bring. He knew that Dusthaven had become a place where humans could face danger and survive, as long as they worked together. The townsfolk were gathering in the square, curious about Eli and Nea. Over the past weeks, they had watched the farm transform and had seen Nea's abilities save the town multiple times. Suspicion had turned to respect, and many now sought her guidance, hoping to learn from her. "Eli, the fields are amazing, Mrs. Harper said, approaching with a basket of fresh vegetables. "And the animals are healthier than I've ever seen. Who would have thought one girl could make such a difference?" Eli smiled. "It's not just her, it's all of us. We work together." Nea spoke softly, addressing the gathering townsfolk. "Strength lies not in one individual but in cooperation. Humans are strongest when they combine their intelligence, courage, and determination. Dusthaven has proven this today." The townsfolk nodded, their eyes wide with understanding. They had seen the proof firsthand. Even the children, who had once been afraid of Nea's unusual presence, now ran to her for advice on planting seeds or caring for animals. Suddenly, a distant hum broke the quiet. Eli tensed, remembering the strangers who had threatened them before, but Nea did not flinch. She raised a hand toward the horizon, her eyes flickering faintly. "They approach," she said calmly, "but they will not harm us. We are ready." Eli looked at the horizon and saw small vehicles moving toward the town, faster than anything Dusthaven had seen before. It was the group of agents, returning with a larger force, confident that they could capture Nea this time. But Nea had already prepared. She turned to Eli. "Stay calm. We will not face them with fear. We will face them with strategy." The townsfolk quickly moved to their positions, guided by Nea's instructions. They reinforced gates, positioned warning systems, and arranged themselves strategically across the fields. Every person had a role, and every role was critical. When the agents arrived at the edge of Dusthaven, they were met with a coordinated defense unlike anything they expected. Nea had anticipated their tactics, using the natural terrain and simple but clever devices to confuse and slow them. Water channels created small obstacles, noise traps startled their animals, and human ingenuity created an unpredictable environment. Eli watched in awe as Nea moved among the town, guiding, advising, and protecting. Her presence inspired confidence in everyone. They were no longer ordinary farmers and townsfolk. They were defenders, ready to protect their home and each other. The confrontation lasted for hours, but Dusthaven's people remained united. The intruders could not penetrate the town's defenses. Every plan they attempted was met with clever countermeasures, many designed by Nea but executed by humans. The combination of advanced skill and human adaptability proved unstoppable. Eventually, the agents retreated, realizing they had underestimated the town and the girl who guided them. Dusthaven had survived not because of superior technology, but because of human courage, teamwork, and the careful guidance of someone who understood both human and mechanical intelligence. The town erupted in celebration. People hugged, laughed, and shared stories of their bravery. Eli looked at Nea, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "We did it," he said softly. Nea nodded. "You all did it. I guided, but humans made the choices. Strength lies in action, courage, and cooperation." For Eli, the realization was clear. Nea had not just helped him save a farm or protect a town. She had shown them all that humans, even ordinary people, could rise to challenges that seemed impossible. She had awakened a sense of confidence and ingenuity in the hearts of the people. As the evening fell, the town gathered around a large fire in the square. Nea and Eli sat together, watching the stars appear one by one. Dusthaven had faced storms, strangers, and uncertainty, and they had survived. "Do you ever get tired?" Eli asked, looking at Nea. "You've been through so much, yet you remain calm and strong." Nea's eyes flickered faintly in the firelight. "I am built to endure." "But humans are remarkable. You find strength in ways I can observe but cannot fully experience. That is why I stay." Eli smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "I'm glad you do, not just for me but for the town. We need you." "I am not needed as a tool," Nea said softly. "I am here to share knowledge, protect, and learn alongside you. That is my purpose." The townsfolk approached, bringing food, gifts, and thanks. They no longer saw Nea as a strange or frightening presence. She was a friend, a teacher, and a symbol of what humans could achieve when they worked together. Eli felt a surge of pride. The farm was flourishing, the town was thriving, and even in the face of danger, they had shown resilience. Dusthaven had transformed from a struggling settlement into a community capable of extraordinary things. That night, Eli walked through his fields, the soft light of the moon illuminating the healthy crops. He paused to look at the irrigation channels, the animals, and the fences, every detail a testament to their hard work and Nea's guidance. "Do you think this will last?" he asked quietly. Nea stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Challenges will always come," she said, "but humans adapt, learn, and survive. Dusthaven has proven that even ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results. The town is ready for the future." Eli nodded. "And we have you," Nea smiled faintly. "I have you. Together we are stronger, not because of my abilities alone, but because of your courage, creativity, and determination." For the first time in a long while, Eli felt truly at peace. The farm was safe, the town was thriving, and Nea had become an inseparable part of their lives. They had faced danger, survived, and learned the power of cooperation, intelligence, and courage. Days passed, and life in Dusthaven settled into a new rhythm. The farm flourished, the animals thrived, and the townsfolk continued to learn from Nea. Children asked her questions, adults sought her guidance, and even Eli found new confidence in his abilities. The town had grown stronger not because of advanced technology or strange abilities, but because humans had worked together, trusted each other, and dared to believe in their own potential. One evening, as the sun set over the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Eli and Nea stood at the edge of the farm. The air was calm, the animals quiet, and the fields a sea of green under the fading light. "You've changed everything," Eli said softly. "Not just the farm, not just the town, but me." Nea looked at him, her eyes calm and steady. "I am here to help humans see their strength. You have learned, adapted, and acted with courage. That is why Dusthaven thrives." Eli smiled. "I think we're ready for anything now." "And if challenges come," Nea said, "we will face them together. Humans have the power to endure, to adapt, and to achieve. That is something no technology can replace." As the stars appeared overhead, Dusthaven rested peacefully. A town transformed by courage, ingenuity, and the quiet guidance of an extraordinary girl who had arrived for a single credit, but had given them a future full of hope, strength, and unity. Eli looked at Nea and knew one thing with certainty: life would never be the same, and for once that was a very good thing. Dusthaven had survived, Dusthaven had thrived, and humanity had proven, through courage, teamwork, and heart, that it could overcome even the greatest challenges. The future awaited, bright and full of possibility. And together, Eli, Nea, and the people of Dusthaven would face it, not as ordinary humans or extraordinary beings alone, but as a united community capable of the impossible.